And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the FreshandFit Podcast, man. We got Tom Nash in the house. We're going to talk about money, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right, and we are back, guys. Welcome to the FreshandFit Podcast, man. We got Tom Nash in the house, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Love that intro.
I've known about Tom for a long time. He would lurk in the comments a little bit, but I watch his channel. Graves like fantastic financial content, man. So I wanted to put y'all on, guys. We're going to talk about some things also that, I've listened to in his videos, and I was like, you know what, man, I would love to have a discussion about this. And sorry we're late, guys, because we're actually having a discussion right before the show on some classified stuff that we may not be safe for YouTube. Yeah. But
I'll never forget Tom Nash. I first heard of you from Grant Cardone. You made a video about him. I was like, what's the guy have to say about Grant Cardone? And then from there, so shout out to you, man.
So we're not even going to go with the announcements because we're a little tight on time, guys, and we want you guys to get the most sauce out of this show. But I'm going to just shut up. And Tom, can you please introduce yourself to the audience for those that may not know who you are?
The GOAT.
Yeah, I'm Tom Nash. I do financial education on YouTube. In my education, I have a law degree, an MBA, and international tax LLM. I work for a big investment bank. And after that, for the past 10 years, I worked for one of the big four consultancies, basically doing transactional work, due diligence, M&A, all sorts of things. And for the past 2 years, I've been full-time on YouTube, educating people on finance, stock market, and economics. And I'm excited to be here. Been a fan of the show since the early days. And it's amazing to see you guys almost at 1 million.
Yeah, man, and we're a fan of you, my friend. And as you guys can see with that resume, very qualified to talk on money. Of course, this isn't financial advice. This is just some guys chopping it up on YouTube talking about fiat currency. So, Tom, I guess, can you give us a quick little bird's eye view of where we are in the financial market? As far as there's so many things going on with inflation, the potential recession, gas prices, the conflict in Ukraine, reserve currency status. There's so many things that we can talk about, but I guess can you give a quick little summary where the hell we are right now in the world when it comes to money?
Well, today we had a good day for the first time in a long ass time, because it's been a while since we had anything come out and it's better than expected in our economy. In fact, I can't even remember when we had a good day. And today, the inflation numbers came out, and the anticipation was 8.7% year over year. And somehow it came out even lower than that. So we beat expectations, and lower is better in this case. And the stock market is having a party. Everybody's saying, well, we peaked, we beat inflation, everything is great. But I think we're exaggerating. I know you guys are into fitness. And since I'm trying to get into fitness more myself, I have a very similar dilemma right now as far as the Fed, I think. So I've been working out a little bit lately. I'm seeing the gains. I'm losing weight, getting a little bit leaner. So there's two options to interpret that as a human being, right? One is to say, well, I'm getting motivated to work even harder. I'm going to get even into more regime. I'm seeing the results. I'm going to be more tougher with myself. Or you can say, well, I've arrived. I'm just going to have a pizza today and do nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I fear, and sometimes that happens to people, right? And I fear that because we had such an incredible surprise with inflation today, the Fed is going to be pressured by politicians who are not always looking for the optimal long-term solution to say, well, we've arrived. Let's have some pizza. Let's ease up from the pedal, and we're good. We're Gucci. And that really is terrifying to me, because you know what happens to people who lose weight, start to see gains, and then they slack off? They come back fatter than ever.
Yes.
Exactly what's going to happen with inflation if
Good
they
analogy.
do that.
Good analogy.
Yeah, nice.
So you foresee with us actually beating the trend that we were projected to go on, that might actually hurt us in the long run, because the politicians, as usual, typically aren't the best long-term thinkers.
Yeah, well, every politician thinks as far as T minus whatever he's got left in office, right?
Exactly.
So they don't really care more than that. I think that it's unlikely that the Fed will make a mistake by saying, "Well, we've arrived. Let's just ease up." Because look, I'll just want to explain this real quick. I don't want to make this too much into like this academic discussion, but the Fed really only has one way to fight against inflation.
Mhm.
They can fight against inflation by sucking out the money from the market. Because
Yes.
when you have less money, less spending, right? Prices come down, the whole demand destruction thing, right? The way they do it is by interest rate. You raise interest rates, money is more expensive, there's less money in the market. There's just
Mhm.
kind of a very oversimplified explanation.
Yeah.
So the Fed has to make a decision because doing that will cause inevitably a controlled recession in the United States because you
Mhm.
cannot do that and not cause a recession. And politicians obviously do not want a recession. It's bad for business, even though they know it's necessary. It's like a kid who wouldn't take his medicine.
Mm.
So I don't think the Fed will make a horrible critical mistake like that because I think they understand the nature of the situation. But you remember how in the past few days we had the debate on TV by politicians who are trying to explain to us that we need to change the definition of a recession
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
you remember that shit?
Yeah. The White
So
House put it out because we officially
yeah,
hit a recession, but they're like, whoa, hold on.
no,
But
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
It's literally like changing the rules of the game mid-game so you
Yeah.
don't lose. So if I would have told you that US politicians would do that a year ago, you would laugh at me. It was like, no way they're going to do that. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So for me to say the Fed ain't going to do something stupid at this juncture, after everything we've seen the past year, I don't know. I think that unlikely that this is going to happen. But because look, the Fed knows one thing, which I think the viewer should know as well. Yes, we are slowing down, but we have 8.5% inflation.
Yeah.
Just to give you an understanding, the normal inflation, there's a good inflation. No inflation is also bad. A good inflation is 2%.
Yeah.
So we're 4 times higher than where we should be. By the end of this year, at our best case scenario, we finish the year at 6%. By the time we get back to 2%, best case scenario, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So easing up now is like you have to be a complete idiot to do that. But hey, politicians and complete idiots,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
I don't know.
we got the midterms coming up, and then obviously they're going to have to aggressively continue to increase the interest rates, and then Biden, he's already looking pretty bad. So is it in his best interest? You never know, right? So,
well, they'll tell you that the Fed and the government are completely independent, and they'll explain to you how they have nothing to do with each other. But ask yourself this question: who appoints the Fed chair? Is Biden, right?
Exactly.
So there's definitely a relationship there. So I wouldn't say they're completely disengaged, although like officially they are. But look, also don't forget one thing. There's a lot of pressure on the Fed. If you're the Fed chair, you're literally trying to do this incredible balance act, and people are very critical of Jerome Powell, including myself. But he has the toughest job in the world, bro. He has to somehow cause a recession, but not too much of a recession, so he can slow down inflation, but not too much to slow down inflation within a reasonable time, so that the politicians don't lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So, that's a tough gig, bro.
Say it like that because because I mean that's tough, and I mean he's got George Gammon on his ass too. So George Gammon hates Joe Powell. So every time he comes on the show, it's fucking Fed, So it's funny, and I'll tell you guys this: I'm under contract right now for 2 properties, and I'm feeling it, man. They quoted me at a fucking 8.125 interest rate, man, for one of the houses that I'm under contract for. Obviously it's. Me putting down 20%, but if you put 25%, it brings it down. But it's definitely still spiked. I mean, last year I was buying houses at 3, 4, 5% at the highest. Now we're up
free money,
damn near 8%. So I got to buy points to bring it down. So so what you're saying, obviously, Tom, is spot on. Like, yes, the only way they
think about it this way, Myron. You're buying a property right now versus a year ago. So you're buying a property a year ago. You're an investor. I know that you are actually an investor, and you're in Fresh actually buy properties.
Yeah.
So you used to buy properties at whatever ridiculous, non-existent interest. So whatever the delta, the spread between that non-existent interest and your ROI is basically just free money.
Yeah.
So you would over leverage yourself up to wazoo as much as you can because you're literally getting free money.
I bought this
free money from the government.
7
buy properties. Yeah, exactly. What happens when this interest rate starts to spike? So the gap starts to close, right?
Yeah.
But what also happens is because the gap starts to close, there's less demand for housing because people are like, oh shit, this is getting too dicey. So the demand also comes down. So this gap is actually kind of a snowball effect feeding itself. into what seems to be like a correction in the real estate market in the next couple of years. I think it's inevitable. But if you hear to the doom and gloomers that are talking about the real estate market collapse, the real estate market ain't going to collapse. That's absolute nonsense. But it will correct because.
I agree with you 100% on that. And the reason why it's not going to collapse is because this isn't even me just speaking like as a real estate investor. Like, hell, if it collapses, fantastic, because renters are still going to be there. So I'm not worried about that as an owner, because you could buy houses for even cheaper if there's a collapse. So let a collapse come. But it's just like from a practical standpoint, we're 5.5 million homes short, in the United States. So it's not going to collapse. And on top of that, with the interest rates going up, people can't afford homes. So what are they going to do? They're going to rent. And
also the bank's gonna learn the lesson. If you go back, I'm 42 years old. I know, like I behave like I'm 25, but I'm old ass. And I lived through the 2008 housing crash.
Yeah.
So what happened in 2008 housing crash is that the banks were absolutely stupid, and they automatically foreclosed on everything. So then you have like the banks stuck with this inventory of houses. They have no ability, capability, or any skill set or any experience on how to sell these houses. So they just dump it into the market and absolutely collapse the entire economy. This time, how many foreclosures we had during COVID? Zero.
You're right.
They literally learned the lesson. So plus you have more equity now in properties, more regulation. There's way more checks and balances. The stock market is right now in a place where, the real estate market is a place where it's definitely overheated. If you see it like it's like a penis in Thailand whorehouse. But it has to come down a little bit, but it's not going to crash.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you made a fantastic point. Everyone's hoping for a real estate crash. Like in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, it was because they were giving out a loan if you had a pulse. Like, you're alive? Okay, we'll give you free money so that you can buy this house. There wasn't private mortgage insurance. There wasn't any of this stuff. So nowadays, it's not easy to get a loan. Even me when I'm as an investor, I still got to give them pretty much. They know everything about me except for like my dick size. It's ridiculous. And they know
exactly how much liabilities you have, how much salary, how much income, everything.
Yeah. It's a lot to get a loan, and they run your credit. They do crazy debt coverage analysis. They do a whole bunch of different checks on your as far as like your debt to income ratio. So it's not easy to get a loan, especially as an investor. You got to put 20% down. You can't put 20% down and get a good interest rate anymore. You got to put 25% down.
Even on a refinance nowadays, it's tough.
Yeah,
to get approvals.
Yeah. So it's it definitely with the real estate market. I don't foresee it crashing.
Tom, I'm curious about your thoughts on the car market. Is that going to crash? Is it crashed already?
Good question.
Because I'm seeing things in the marketplace now, but like, what's your spin on that?
Well, I'm not a car expert, but it's a really good question. So the little bit I know about the car market tells me a very interesting story. So just a few years ago, let's say 5 years ago, I tell you, look, Fresh, here's $1,000, right? Get yourself a lease. You can get a freaking Hummer, bro, right? What do you get right now for $1,000 on a lease?
Honda?
A Honda Civic, bro. I don't know. I don't something ridiculous. No disrespect to the Honda Civic. Honda, don't sue me. But I mean, just I'm using it as a benchmark.
They suck. I got one. They're reliable, but they're not sexy. You ain't gonna get no hose with them.
Yeah, there's no pussage going on in that car. Yeah. But anyways, so what I'm saying is that like with that amount of spike at every day, like a Toyota Corolla, a Honda Civic levels of car leases, what's going to happen when the economy slows down? Because we just mentioned a moment ago. Remember when I told you the Federal Reserve has to slow down the economy, which is what we call the controlled recession. So they're talking about destroying the demand. So that's a very political word to say everything is going to go to shit for the middle class. Okay, so if you and you can see that already happening. There's you guys can check it later on Google. There's this benchmark called the personal savings rate, and in the US right now we're at 5%. Basically, that's like free cash flow, but for individuals.
Yeah.
So people, after paying taxes and loans and everything, they have about 5 cents on the dollar in their pocket, and that's the lowest we had since 2008, by the way. So not a coincidence. So what happens when your free cash flow is going down? You start to prioritize. So obviously you pay food and you pay lodging first. You need the place to stay. You need food. What's the first things that starts to go? What are you going to default on?
Cars.
You're going to default on car payments.
Yeah.
And you look at the reports that came out in Barron's just a few weeks ago that the car repossessions over the past few weeks have doubled year over year.
Saying that.
Yeah. So it's not looking good for the car market, definitely.
Because so a buddy of mine, he does auctions and stuff like that for Vegas. And before COVID, everything was like super like empty, no cars were there. Now after the COVID hit, and then current spike in car prices, it is full of cars. Repossession is at an all-time high. So my thing is, if they're all repossessed cars there, what's going to happen to the average buyer now because they can't afford payments?
Mm-hmm.
But it's
And look at what happened. Like, it's not even just about cars. Look at across the board. So just if I know you guys, of course, you and Fresh and Fit, you both read diligently the entire quarterly report by Walmart. I'm sure of that. But in case you haven't, I'm going to give you the highlight of what these mother lovers said.
Please, we didn't read
and
it.
They said some. Yeah, you read it, but I'm just saying it for the audience, obviously.
No,
right?
we didn't read it.
So,
nah, we
We didn't read it.
nobody did.
We got you on the show. We didn't read that shit.
Nope.
No, it was me and some accountant in Iowa, the only ones who read it. But basically, what they said was very interesting. It's very similar to what Target said just a few weeks before that.
Yeah.
They were saying, look, guys, people are just not spending as much on anything that's not necessity right now. They're buying gas and food. They literally don't spend on anything on discretionary products. So they said it in the report, we will have to reduce prices on apparel, furniture, and electronics, our best margins in the store. So the loss leaders are there to get you to start buying furniture, apparel, and electronics. So we'll have to reduce margins on these items. What this means in corporate talk is basically we're going to have less money. So we're going to be making less money. That's a corporate talk for we're going to have to lay off some people.
Yes.
And
yes.
laying off some people means that even less people will have less discretionary income to spend, which leads to even less spending, which would lead to this snowball effect where the entire retail community is going to basically implode into itself when demand is destroyed, as the Fed is planning to do. So cars, retail, everything that's discretionary is going to take a massive hit. So unless you're selling, like, look at what's going on right now. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, they're doing fine. Non-discretionary stuff, gasoline, housing market. But eventually, as this cascades, everything will suffer because then people will go out less. Coca-Cola and McDonald's obviously eventually will also slow down. And eventually, even the housing market will do it. Even the hot job market they're talking about right now, that's just the last thing to go. It's a lagging indicator. So I think we're heading to a recession, not this year, but definitely next year.
That's a good point because I want to buy a yacht to do like yacht rentals, right? But then my boy was like, yo, hold on, look at the market. What's going to happen is when people have less money to spend, they're not going to go on yachts. They're going to only buy what they need. So that'll be a bad bet. So you're right, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like taking it in right now because in my head, like going back to the car market, I'm in my head thinking like, how are people able to, like, did people not have to make car payments? Because I got my car paid off, so whatever. And we had our Range Rover, we're paying it up, whatever. It's no big deal. Yeah. But like for all the people that were like, because people were buying cars overpaying for them, and you couldn't even get a car, I remember, for a bit. You were paying more for a used car than sometimes a brand new car last year.
Facts.
Because all these, car makers stopped making vehicles. So how the hell did all these cars, I guess people... Okay, as you guys can see, the car market is not my expertise whatsoever. This is fresh.
No, but
your point.
The one thing I'll tell you, you're right. In America, people tend to live above their means. That's kind of a cultural thing.
Yes.
Living in Miami, you guys know that for a fact. I mean, everybody drives a car they can afford.
This is Cap City, dude.
Cap City.
Yeah,
sure.
But when things are good, right, and you're getting paid and you have money, that's great. But the problem is with living that lifestyle of living paycheck to paycheck, trying to flex and have more than you can afford, is that the moment things go south, and let's say you lose your job or your boss says, hey, I'm going to have to cut your salary 30% if you want to keep the job, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, shit. And that's where I want people to understand. There's a certain amount of responsibility you guys as viewers of this channel need to have going into next year. Okay, I'm hearing myself twice now.
Oh, do we have another tab open, Mo?
Nah.
No, everything's muted.
I think we're good on our end.
Yeah. Might be you have something open, Tom. Give us 1 second, guys. Technical difficulties real fast. Here's
Tom, you have a stunt double, Tom.
Yeah, you have a stunt double, bro.
Officer Nash.
Tom, you have a stunt double, Tom. Yeah, you have a stunt double, bro.
What do you mean stunt double?
Is it your computer or because we don't have
No, I don't think it's
right, Mo?
No other tab.
Is it your AirPods?
No. My audio is coming from my headset. That is so weird. Hold on. My audio is coming from my headset. Okay, hold on. Let me reset.
Okay, switch it to us, Mo. We'll read some super chats while we do that. All right. So I'll read some of these real quick while he fixes that. Marriage causes divorce goes. Breaking news from UK. Most births in 2021 were from unmarried couples for the first time since records began in 1845. This is part of a long-term trend. MGTOW men guarding their own wallets. Okay. The Chinese are coming. Run. That's from Taiwan. Okay. Thank you, Taiwan. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me write that down. We definitely want to talk about Taiwan because that is also going to have
talk about the future.
Yeah, that's also going to have definitely consequences, and that might be another reason too why the car market is
the chips.
Yeah,
I'm back, guys.
Oh, good to go now. Okay,
you want to know what happened? So I had the tab open on my phone, and I accidentally leaned on it and turned it on, and we went to my speakers in my room. So I was like, is this a ghost?
Oh wow,
no, that happens to the best of us, my friend.
I thought you were under attack, bro.
Yeah, and actually, no, someone left a super chat saying someone super chatted in as Taiwan saying China is coming, which is hilarious. So I just wrote that down in my notes.
No, that's nonsense. China isn't coming. For me, okay, yeah. Well, you want to talk about China a little bit? That's an interesting story.
Yeah. So before we go to switch to China, did we hit everything with the car market? Because you were saying something about the car market, Tom. Or you were talking about Americans living above their means. That's what.
Oh yeah. I wanted to give you guys a piece of advice.
Yeah, please.
So this is advice, and my advice is very simple. Is if you guys know, everybody here is trying to take care of business. We as men have responsibilities for our families, for our spouses, for our kids, for ourselves, no matter if you're single or married, doesn't matter, right? So we're supposed to take care of business. It's our responsibility to know and identify threats as they come, right? Whether it's security, financial, whatever it may be. So if you know what you know right now, if you look at the picture right now and you're seeing, okay, so the guys who control the money flow have two options. One, let inflation destroy the market, or two, destroy the market in a controlled manner in a way that kills inflation so we can come back bigger and better, like antibiotics, right? So if you're about to go on antibiotics for 2 weeks, you know it's ain't going to be pretty. Your body's going to be weak. You have to make preparations, right? So the same thing here. So the first thing you do right now is you try and build a balance sheet. I don't know if you guys do that, but every man here must have a balance sheet. A company does it. A human being needs to do the same thing. Put on a piece of paper everything you own in this world and everything you owe in this world. Put them side by side and see how much difference you have. Unless you have twice more property and assets than liabilities, you're not doing so good, and that needs to be fixed. Because you have to fortify yourself against what's coming right now, and having more assets and liabilities is important. Number two,
that's a good rule.
Yes. So number two, that's how I roll, and that's how I teach my kids.
Double
also.
assets versus liabilities. That's a fantastic rule of thumb.
Absolutely. If you don't have that, you have a problem. Number two, make sure that your housing costs are not more than 1/3 of your free cash flow. That's important. You can't, otherwise you absolutely are screwed. Number three, what you do is you build a cash flow statement. You know how companies have them? Basically, okay, this month I'm paying for this, and this, and that. I'm getting money from that. How much my free cash flow I have at the end? How much I have in my pocket? Okay, and then you try and see, okay, so whatever I have, good or bad, let's see how I can improve my cash flow. If you're the CEO of your life, of the company that is your name,
CEO game.
You have to exactly play it like a video game, exactly gamify it. How can I improve my free cash flow and get a better score? Okay, first of all, whatever is not essential, whatever is not necessary, cut it out. Cut it out. There's absolutely no need. You know, for example, my friend Graham Stephan, who runs a big YouTube channel in the financial education space, he's a millionaire. He doesn't drink coffee outside. He only drinks coffee at home because he calculated it's like $5,000 a year, just that alone.
He made a whole video about it. And then he started a coffee company. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah, and he's a millionaire. He can afford it. But I mean, it's just the concept, the principle.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, okay, what do you must have, what you must not have. For example, the other day, my wife's car broke down, and we had to make a decision. We either get it fixed or we buy her a new one because the car is a little bit, it's a little bit clunky and she's not that big into cars. And I was like, let's just get you a new car. And we went and we looked at this SUV. And last second, I was about to close the deal. I said to myself, you know what? Not a good time right now to add fixed costs to our daily income or to that daily spending, right? You're buying a car, whatever it is. So you're adding more payments. So don't add more payments to your free cash flow right now. Decrease payments. If you have credit cards that are high interest credit cards, pay them off before buying yourself a new video game and stuff like that. Kill your debt as much as possible because debt is about to get more expensive. Fortify yourself against what's coming because you have about 6 months until the feet hit the shan. So you have plenty of time. So instead of playing video games and spending money on hookers and cocaine, fortify your financial structure so you can withstand and come out of it in a year without any serious harm.
Yeah,
some very good
I mean
advice,
that was
guys.
some man. We got fucking holy shit. That right there. Very practical advice, simple to follow. I mean, I like the idea of you should have double assets versus liabilities.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: most people can't say that. And if you guys can't say that, hey, I don't have double assets versus my liabilities, then you need to figure something out. Whether you need to start investing, get your money up. A lot of people have an income problem too.
Here's the way to fix it, real quick. You know
Please.
how you can fix it?
Please.
Okay. So number one, they can do what you guys doing: start a business, create value, get paid, create a side hustle, create value, get paid. You want to just you can also improve your own skills in your own industry. For example, if you're an accountant, you can get licensed in other stuff and create more value for your boss, and then ask for a raise or go to another place. You can invest in courses to improve your skill set. There's a lot of things you can do to improve your hireability, sustainability, and income that you generate. You don't have to become a millionaire to survive this. All you have to do is just improve your ability to make money. For example, I used to have a high-paying job, which I was a freaking nightmare. I was working pretty much until nighttime. Come back home, and I used to run this other business online, which I come back and I'll do this business, and then I went to bed at 2 a.m. Didn't need it for the money, but I was like, okay, let me create some diversification in my income. So if anything happens, I have this little side business. And by the way, that's how my own channel actually was born.
Nice.
Because that business led to a YouTube channel, which I then pivoted. And then I started making videos about what I understand just for fun, and people started fucking with it. And that's how the whole channel was built.
Same here.
So,
but
it started out of a passion.
You know, it's funny though. Tom made a very good point.
Yeah.
If you're someone that wants to invest, think about it. People ask all the time, Fresh, Myron, what should we invest in? Invest in yourself, bro. Because when you invest in yourself, you get skills and you can do better for yourself as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll read
who
some
they fire first. Let's say you're in a big organization, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So who gets fired? First of all, they fire the most expensive employees. That's rule number one. Unless you're in sales. Sales is a whole different metric. Sales, if you're in sales and you're performing, you can take a shit on the boss's desk. You're not getting fired, right?
Yeah.
But except sales, which is a whole different department in itself. First of all, high pay. If you're the highest paying organization or your category, you're probably getting fired. If you don't have relationship with the bosses, you're getting fired. And if you're underperforming, you are getting fired. So you can improve it. First of all, create networking, create relationships with the people who make the decisions. If the wave comes, so they know you and they know, oh, I know this guy from accounting. I don't want to fire him. Create skills, add value, and make sure that you basically create this when the tidal wave comes and there's layoffs. Your name is not on that list.
Bam. There you go.
Very good, guys.
Yeah. No, you got to make yourself indispensable, guys.
Corporate
And that's
America.
very important. All right, I'll read some of these chats real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and transition over to the reserve currency, which is actually a really interesting topic. All right, so Taiwan goes $5. The Chinese are coming run. Okay, we'll be talking about Taiwan and China here in a second. Scroomer PA, $5. Thank you so much. Grills Vision goes $10. Shout out to Big Mo. Mejorda del Mundo. They not ready, bro. Rod Eric, appreciate the mentorship and road to 1 million party. Finna be litty. FNF Dallas gang, remember, guys, willing to be figured out. Yep, absolutely. What can I do to start? What can I do to start crypto? I know nothing. Where do I go? Where do I need to go do?
Well, you missed, my friend, the crypto course with Miguel and Charlie.
Yeah.
But
Go check them out.
Another round coming up. But for now, check out our channel.
Yeah, Cultivate Crypto and Dollar Cost Crypto.
That's from Tim.
And that's from Tim. We got Feel A. Can you wish my boy Big John a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. $10 from Church of Patrol. Ask Tom what he disagrees with Tate on. I mean, that's not.
I like Tate.
Yeah,
I think he's exaggerating, but he has a point.
Actually, Tom, you're very critical of people, right? Like, just real quick, one line comment on Andrew Tate. What's your take on it?
It's hard not to like him, bro. I started off not liking him so much. The more I watch him, the more I like him. He's very irresistible. I saw this thing where he was with Aiden Ross on the stream, and they tried to help Wingman Aiden, not Aiden Ross, another streamer. I forgot the name. Some other kid. I don't know these kids. I don't know the names.
Nope.
But some kid who was complete like no social skills, and he was wingmaning the kid into getting a girlfriend. I was like, this is super cool. I mean, that I fuck with that, bro.
There you go. All right.
Fair enough,
Top
man.
G.
Okay, and we got $10 from Adrian C. Content like this is why I honestly watch the show now. The night shows with the girls are great, but this is where it's at. We got y'all, Ben. We hope you guys get girls and money. I've seen many economic crashes in my time. BBC gang, stay strong, and that's from Elder Fresh. Okay, Elder Fresh, thank you. Vivid visual, that picture is hilarious. Myron, look into the aviation market. Buying and renting a private jets are sometimes just as good, if not better than real estate. I don't know about that, my friend. Last thought's $5. So will cars be cheaper or more expensive in 2023 and through 2024? What's your thoughts on that, Fresh and Tom?
Tom, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Well, that depends on how the economy performs. I think it's inevitable there's going to be a pullback in the at least in what's going on in secondhand cars, bro. It's absolutely pandemonium. This is not sustainable.
Yeah.
If the economy goes sideways and everything goes to shit, you remember that movie with Mel Gibson where he was like the captain and they went over to some place and they're supposed to take over? I forgot the name of the movie, but there was a sergeant there. He was a bit older, and it's like Mel Gibson's character was asking him, "Hey,
someone in the chat's
don't you want a gun? Don't you want like a gun?" And it's like, "Sonny, by the time I need a gun, there's gonna be plenty of them on the ground." And like it's the same. If the economy goes to shit, the car price is gonna be the last of your problems.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And like we said before, first thing that happens is your car gets repossessed anyway. That's the first thing people stop paying.
So here's my take on it.
Yeah.
So if the car market, right, keeps going how it's going right now, and used cars are still high price, people can't afford them. So the demand is going to be lower. If that happens, you're going to have a lot of inventory that they can't get rid of.
Yeah.
So if it continues that way, then they have to lower car prices because at that point, if they want to sell cars, you go lower the price. That's just my take, though.
Yeah, and car salesmen have a lot more, leeway to change prices than they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Flexing with
Tesla's putting that out of business, bro. In 10 years, we won't have car salesmen.
Who's putting them out of business?
Tesla's destroying the whole dealership model.
Yeah.
Oh,
even those apps where you can just buy a car instantly from your phone, you don't need a car salesman anymore.
No, you customize your own car. You put an order on your phone. You get it delivered to your home. There's no dealership. There's nothing.
Tesla?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
you can even do. I forgot the name of the app, but you can just like put the car you want, put the specs you want, and they bring it to you.
What?
After this, you can go over to Tesla and try to order like a car and see how simple it is. It takes like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. But there's no upsell. There's no. I'll give you like free upholstery for another the shit that they try to do to you in the dealership.
So they do like a little spinning thing where it says like looking for the best price possible. I mean, you could Google yourself to see the best price, but like they say, hey, we're giving you the best price, so you kind of have that like.
It's Carvana, I think.
There you go.
Carvana.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm riding my Honda to the wheels fall off.
That's the genius of Tesla, by the way. Think about it this way: if Ford and GM have dealerships, that's a markup, right? You have to pay for the markup.
Absolutely.
So if Tesla cuts out the middleman, they can sell you the car cheaper and make more money than the guys who sell you for a higher price because they don't have the fixed cost of running the dealership, the salaries, everything. Everything is absolutely cheaper.
That's
true. Why Tesla has the best margins in the business. Like GM and Ford are running at like 7 or 8% margins. Tesla is running like 24-25% margin.
That's fucking insane, man.
Yeah.
All right. And then what else we got here? 2 more chats. Okay. Gareth Winter, flexing with a car is bad investment. It's literally money wasted. Why spend 2 to 3K monthly to make 10 to 20K, 12K a month? Wasted income, invest it instead. Okay.
I would say the only way it makes sense is if you're leasing your car and helps with your taxes as well. But it has to make sense for the business.
Yeah. If you're buying a car, you're getting a car that's 6,000 pounds, then we're talking about depreciation and actually getting something out of it. Working harder than I need for the powder keg that George Gammon called it for the upcoming fire sale. When the market sees red, I'm going to stabilize / save my own future.
Zentience.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to you, Zentience. I can't even read. I got to get my glasses.
I got you.
Yeah, you got it fresh.
We got Spirit Gunner Rasengang. Spirit Bomb says, you'll realize you're improving my point, right? I know. Sorry, joke. Heart. Oh, he says Myron's favorite quote. You realize that you're proving my point. Okay. Shout out to you, bro. All right. So I think I want to talk about you're back.
Okay. Sorry guys, I'm blind.
Glasses, Clark Kent.
Yeah. All right. So now we're gonna move on to
Tom, you're muted again.
You remember the episode where some guy showed up to Andrew Tate's show and he left?
Yes.
Oh yeah. You got who that was? Like, I was watching that live. I was like, what just happened, bro?
It was some crazy fan. I'll tell you this: when Andrew comes back, he's gonna come back at the end of the year. We're gonna have AR-15s in this place.
Yo,
we're gonna be ready.
Yo, you know what's funny though? He was like, "I got hands today." he got
so yeah.
If you've seen his videos online, he can throw a punch.
No, for sure. For sure, man.
I want to see the fight between Jake Paul and Andrew Tate or Logan Paul and Andrew Tate.
We're gonna talk about that tomorrow.
Okay,
tomorrow.
That fight is gonna make so much money,
bro.
So much money,
dude.
It's gonna be
That's
crazy.
the biggest fight on earth.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the reserve currency at the U.S. dollar, and we could talk about China and Russia and Taiwan and all that other stuff. So you made a video, Tom, which I thought was a really good video, really well made, about the U.S. dollar. You don't anticipate it losing reserve currency status anytime soon, and you listed a multitude of factors as to why the U.S. dollar isn't going to, lose currency status, reserve currency status. And I guess we can kind of outline that real quick, and then you can give your future predictions, and we can talk about the Chinese and Russian dollar.
Yeah, I think there's 0% of that happening, of the U.S. losing the reserve currency status. But there's a lot of people who preach for that. And if you go back in history and you check how long they've been preaching for that, you may find that this isn't something new. There's a lot of gold pumpers, all sorts of people with the books, and they want to sell, or businesses in China and stuff like that. So there's a lot of everybody has an angle when they're talking about China. I have no business in China. I don't pump gold. This is purely my own academic opinion, and that's very rare whenever people talk about China.
Yeah,
because check who's talking before you decide. So let me give you the honest, objective truth about the whole narrative that's spiraled out of control about this China taking over. Now, I've been hearing about the collapse of the US dollar since I was fucking in my mother's womb. These guys are like they're worse than a broken clock. They're a clock with no freaking dials. It's just basically it's not even right twice a day, bro. So absolutely nonsense. Look, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an NBA star. I really wanted to be an NBA star. Can I be an NBA star? Absolutely not. Do I really want it? Yes. Does China really want the status of reserve currency of the world? Sure. Do they have a chance? Pretty much as much as my chance of getting into the NBA at age 42 with my fat ass. Not going to happen. The reason is because, look, China deserves a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of credit, bro. They went from a $200 billion economy in the 1980s to the second biggest economy in the world with $20 trillion in GDP. That's a huge turnaround, bro.
Yeah.
Their industrial base is absolutely insane. They've absolutely killed it in their growth. Now, there's caveats to that because I think their growth, we can talk about it later if you want, about the Chinese growth, because it's a topic in itself, which is very interesting.
Bro, we're not going to stop you. Go ahead. If you think it's relevant to the...
No, but let's stay on the topic of the reserve currency. So look,
go ahead.
In order, why do you think the US has reserve currency status? It has it for a multitude of reasons, but the most technical one of them all, it's like the one thing that absolutely solidifies everything I'm about to say in a second is also the fact that in the 1970s, Richard Nixon pulled the plug on the gold standard. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes.
Basically,
I wasn't born, but yeah.
But we know about it.
I was born in 1981, so I'm talking out of my ass. But that I also don't remember that actually happening. But there's a very famous picture of Nixon in Saudi Arabia, basically.
Yes.
Signing a deal saying, hey, we're no longer... Yeah, petrodollar, exactly. So you've done your homework. So Saudi Arabia basically calls the shots in OPEC.
Well, you should tell the people, though. You should tell the people because I know the petrodollars, but they might not know. So don't check your story around. Explain it as if I don't have zero clue, please.
Okay. So you know how in NATO, right, the US and pretty much the US calls the shots in NATO, even though it's an organization with multiple countries, right? OPEC, which is pretty much the cartel for the producers of oil, the two countries that calls the shots is the UAE and Saudi Arabia. And they go to it's like Canada and the US. They do everything together. They're always aligned. They never disagree. So, and basically, if you Saudi Arabia basically calls the shots for OPEC. So in the 70s, Nixon basically made a deal with the Saudis saying, hey, we're going to give you this and that and that and that. Obviously, they didn't just do him a favor, right? And in return, you guys basically say that from now on, OPEC will only deal in US dollars. Every single transaction that has to do with OPEC oil will be in dollars, which means that every single hedge against the transaction will be in dollars, which means that absolutely there's no other currency that will ever come close to the US dollar as far as demand. Because who doesn't need oil? Everybody needs oil, right?
Yeah.
You need to buy oil. You need to hedge the transactions in dollars. You need to pay for the transaction in dollars. So automatically you're creating massive demand for the US dollar around the world. Everybody needs it to trade in oil. So if you have this massive demand, what happens is that the US government can issue bonds at very, very cheap prices because it's one-to-one economic, right? When demand is high, right? What happens? Everybody wants it. You can issue the debt at a cheaper price. Pretty much, it's a you're basically paying almost close to nothing for the debt, and that's how the U.S. keeps printing money. So people talk about money printer. There's no actual there hasn't been in a long time actual money print in that sense. It's basically issuing bonds, and that whole system is basically predicated on the U.S. staying as the world's money.
Yeah.
Right. And lately, this discussion has started to arise. Basically, well, China is taking over. China is going to dethrone the U.S. because everybody's so unhappy with how the U.S. is sanctioning Russia for what they're doing in Ukraine, and they're seeing the U.S. is evil, and they've been exposed, and China is going to take over. Well, guess what, Sherlock? To become the U.S. to replace the U.S. as the world's reserve currency, you need a few things. To be the world's money, you need stable political environment, which China does not have. I mean, it's hard to say that about China.
Yeah.
You need rule of law, which China definitely doesn't have. Ask Jack Ma, wherever he is right now. I don't know.
Probably dead.
You need the world's best economy. And that, just to explain to you, when we talk about China as the second biggest GDP-wise economy in the world, as far as GDP per capita, they're one of the poorest countries in the world. They're ranked like 86th in the world. So
GDP still on population, like you on their
you divide the amount of the gross domestic product by the amount of people you have to see how much money people actually have. It's about 1/5 of what the US has. It's ranked like 86. Not that the US is ranked first. The US is ranked like 12 or 13th, but China is like all the way down, like behind Botswana and fucking Nicaragua. I don't know. It's basically a very poor country. People in China does not have. It's not a rich economy in that sense.
Okay.
There's a lot of real estate developments that create GDP. We'll talk about it later. But the people in China do not have a good life like in the US.
Yeah.
Not that there's no poverty in the US.
Between there's a huge disparity basically between the rich and the poor. It's huge.
There's a huge disparity between what the government worth and what the actual standard of life in China is. In the US, there's poverty, obviously, right? We know that isn't perfect, but there's still a lot of good life in the US. There's opportunities, right? There's no opportunities in China. China is absolutely a poor country.
Damn.
Not to mention the fact that if you want to be the world's money, you need a stable banking system, which they don't have. You need stable regulation, which they don't have. They just destroyed 3 companies of their own. They destroyed Alibaba. They canceled the Ant IPO, which was the biggest IPO in history. And they canceled the company called Didi Global, which was the Chinese Uber. Literally canceled it for no reason whatsoever. Because they did the same thing that Alibaba did and many other Chinese companies did, which is go public in the US through a structure called the VAE structure. So they literally just canceled the company just because some bureaucrat didn't like it.
Because
the entire Chinese.
Sorry, no, go ahead. Continue, and I'll ask the question after.
Yeah, and also on top of that whole thing, the entire Chinese stock of companies that are listed in the U.S. stock exchanges are about to get delisted. The SEC has passed a rule that they have 3 years to comply with something that everybody is compliant with. If you are a public company, the PCAOB, which is the Public Certified Accounting Oversight Board, basically goes and audits your financials, right? And the Chinese are saying, well, we're not going to let you do that because we have nothing to hide. We're not going to let you do that.
Exactly.
And the SEC is basically saying, well, you have 3 years to do that. Otherwise, we'll kick you out. And it's been a year. They haven't done it. And it seems that it's not happening. So there's going to be a lot of delisting, there's loss of, if you're a foreign investor and you're looking to invest $100 million anywhere in the world, right? A massive developer. Would you invest in a country that's basically absolutely shitting on foreign investments by losing money to foreign investors by delisting Chinese companies? Not to mention the fact that their entire GDP is slowing down. Not to mention that the entire GDP, even the slowdown, is absolutely fake. Not to mention they have a massive demographic problem. The entire Chinese population is basically collapsing under the weight of the elderlies. By 2050, 30% of Chinese population will be 65 years and older, which means 70% of people are the only ones who are actually working. And they've done it to themselves by the one-child policy, which they tried to reverse and couldn't. So China has so many problems, because that's why I laugh when people said, well, China is going to go after Taiwan. Motherfucker, China ain't going to do jack shit about Taiwan. They have literally problems keeping the lights on. They have existential crisis, like massive. There's protests in China. People are not paying mortgages because they basically lost faith in the government right now in 90 cities in China. Nobody's talking about that. So China is nowhere close to being the world's reserve currency. They'll be lucky to come out of this alive.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Holy shit. Don DeMarco right there for that whole breakdown right right there of why someone needs to clip that part right there. Why China will not become the world.
We haven't said anything about the real estate bubble, which we can talk about in a second.
About that here in a second. And matter of fact, we're gonna kill the Twitch stream and we're gonna kill the Twitter stream right now because we're probably gonna get into a little bit of a conspiracy theory stuff here in a second. All right. So yeah, go ahead, kill him. Come on over to YouTube, guys. Type in YouTube on Twitch. Type in FreshandFit on YouTube. So come on over, guys, from Twitch and Twitter. Because then we'll transition over now into the real estate issue with China and then Taiwan. Because I definitely want to get your take on Taiwan. Because there's been some issues with Nancy Pelosi. She went over there to Taiwan to go meet with some government officials. And then China had a tweet like, hey, we are ready for war, blah, blah, blah. Is that posturing? Is it fake? I guess I'll just turn it to you. Your thoughts on Taiwan. And then
you're right. You're on point. You said everything correctly. You're right. You're 100% on point.
Yeah.
This is literally what happened. So do you believe that Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan because she wanted to help Taiwan, or she had an agenda? What do you think?
Agenda.
100% agenda.
She's 82 years old, bro. It's not her first rodeo.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi has a lot of problems with the husband, a lot of problems with potential allegations about some trading activity. I don't. Yeah. So Nancy Pelosi, she's been beating the S&P better than hedge fund managers. So good for her. Congratulations, Nancy, for that. Good for her. I'm sure it's legit. No problems at all. But I'm not here to talk about Nancy Pelosi. Let the lady be. I'm here to talk about China. So you know why I knew that China is not going to do nothing about Taiwan? Besides pulling some stunts,
I genuinely thought that I honestly do think that China's going to invade Taiwan. But hey, man, I'm always open to listening to people that may have better.
Invading Taiwan is not that easy. First of all, I'm not a strategist in military, but they're heavily militarized and they're badass motherfuckers. Excuse me, my language. Sorry, but
that's fine.
They're not a country to be fucked with, bro. Taiwanese are not suckers, bro. They're like badass people. They're militarized. They're an island. It's going to be a challenge, bro. If you think Ukraine was a tough one, bro, Taiwan is not a pushover at all, even though people seem to think that. So that's number one. But that's not even the point. The point is that China is right now dealing with a massive problem. So remember when I told you how China was growing its GDP by like double digits for years?
Yeah.
Went from 200 billion to 20 trillion in 40 years, something insane like that.
Yeah.
So initially, the way this worked was legit, right? Chinese economy basically got unleashed from the totalitarian regime. Back in the 80s, the government said, well, we're lagging behind the entire world because we're basically running the economy like Soviet Russia, and look what happened in Soviet Russia. We don't want that. That's not good. So what can we do? Let's just keep control of the country, but let's just liberalize the entire trade and the economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just let it be. And that worked amazingly, right? We saw the numbers, double-digit GDP growth per year. But what ended up happening is for the past, I want to say 10 years or so, China has been trying forcefully to maintain this growth artificially. And it's been doing that by propping up its own real estate market. So China, I don't know if you guys heard this. Did you hear about the ghost towns and the roads that leading to nowhere?
Yes. Miguel talked about this, was telling us about this. And then they also have like strange like Paris like replicas and stuff. They have like
they have the Eiffel Tower and shit.
Yeah, major cities in the world, which I thought was very strange. And there's a bunch of buildings that are empty. But yeah,
well, that's more than a bunch of buildings. So basically, what they're doing is the way you count GDP is, like I mentioned before, is basically how much stuff you make. So if you're building and there's things that are being created, value being created, that goes into your GDP count. But if you're essentially building, so what happens? These real estate developers, they build apartments. Nobody ever lives in these apartments, and that's not the intention. People buy these apartments because they know they can resell them later at a higher price, because real estate in China always goes up, right? Stocks only go up, so real estate in China only goes up, right? So it's a speculative investment in China. People buy an apartment, they most likely have never seen the apartment, bro. They never lived in it. It doesn't even have electricity or water. So they build up the apartments that are absolutely uninhabitable, bro. And there's nobody in that city. It's a ghost town. And people own these pieces of these little boxes in the sky, but they can resell them later and make a lot of money. And this greater fool theory, which I think can be classified as a Ponzi scheme, if anything else, right, is basically at some point has to pop. There's only so long you can keep this going without the whole bubble actually collapsing. So this works as long as things are great. But here's what happened. So in China, what happened is this whole project was fueled by massive debt. These real estate developers, I don't know if you heard about Evergrande about 7 months ago. Evergrande was a big Chinese developer. They defaulted on like $300 billion of loans to foreign investors. And we were like, oh shit, this is gonna. And then we find out there were one of 30 companies. Like there's 30 more that are currently defaulting on loans.
Shit.
They were just like the canary in the coal mine. So basically what happened is these real estate developers, because they know there's a demand for these apartments and they're literally in the middle of nowhere. So they're basically trying to get as much money as they can as a loan, like we spoke about before, build as much houses and apartments and sell them. And as they're doing that and people are buying, everything is fine. But what happens when people are stop buying the apartments? What happens when COVID hits and the Chinese government decides to go zero COVID? Well, people basically get stuck and they're like, oh, wow, okay, demand drops. And when demand drops, the Ponzi scheme stops. Because here, how's the Chinese real estate market works. It's the classic definition of a Ponzi scheme. The Chinese real estate developers are using customers' new money coming in to buy a new apartment to finish building the old apartments. And is that not a Ponzi scheme? I don't know how to define a Ponzi scheme in any other way, but this is literally the definition of a Ponzi scheme. Take new money, pay old money, right? Yeah. So they've been doing that for forever. But now, here's what happened. Zero COVID policy starts, which was a dumb decision, but it's communist. There's no checks and balances. So basically they did the stupid thing. And all of a sudden people are not buying apartments anymore. They're like saying, oh, we don't know what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So there's no new money coming in. And companies like Evergrande and 30 more companies are slowly defaulting on everything. It's falling apart. So because there's no new money coming in, they can't finish the old apartments. So now you have in China hundreds and thousands of apartments that are unfinished and are nowhere to be close to be finished. So people who are paying mortgages for 3, 4, 5 years are going over and seeing the project. It's not even, there's no tractors, there's nothing is going on. Like, why the fuck are we paying mortgages? Yeah. So in China, in 90 cities in China right now, there's a mortgage boycott. People have literally said, we're not paying you a single dime on mortgage until we see some traction on our apartments. We basically don't believe you, the developers. We don't believe you, the government. We'd rather lose the apartment, risk losing the apartment when they pay mortgage by giving you another $1. It's how bad it's gotten. And when the little demand they had, even that little demand basically goes because people are like, oh shit, everything's falling apart. We're not buying an apartment now. And that it's like a snowball effect. So China is right now dealing with that shit. I don't know if there's very little news about it for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it until you brought it to my attention that that there was a whole issue with Chinese real estate. I had no clue about it. I mean, I knew about these ghost cities, but
it makes sense now because they're building these structures, no one's in them, but it's because they're buying basically a promise to make money in the future. But if the economy is down, then you can't make money
and especially with them, like they really had to shut shit down because COVID started there.
And look, what happens in China when they protest? The last time, why don't people protest in totalitarian countries, Russia, China? Because it's fucking dangerous. You get killed. It's not like
get hit with
you get killed.
Imagine with the risks that they take. There hasn't been a major protest in China since the Tiananmen Square, which was the last time Nancy Pelosi was in China, I think. I'm not sure, but since it's been a while, bro. So people are actually taking the streets right now in China protesting. That's actually risking your life. Imagine how bad things need to get.
Is that where that famous photo was taken with the guy standing in front of a tank?
Yes.
Yes. Which guys?
By the way, I went to research this thing.
Picture is banned in China.
Picture is banned in China, but apparently the guy did not get killed. He's alive.
Oh, he's still alive?
Yeah, I researched it, and it seems, I don't know for sure, but it seems that the man did not perish.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Mo, just search on Google tank Chinese protester tank, and it's gonna come right up. That picture is banned in China.
Epic. It's a beautiful picture, bro.
Yeah. And it's from
one man with a briefcase standing in front of a tank. It's so beautiful.
It's like from the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very old.
Yeah, it's the Tiananmen Square riots, bro.
Yeah. So okay, so wow, I did not know that it was that bad though. As far as okay, so here's
the whole Chinese economy is slowing down even by their official numbers.
There it is, right there.
You're putting up the picture
right there.
Wow, yeah.
That's it. That picture is banned in China, my friends. They call him Tank Man. That's what it is. Yeah. Iconic photo because I
get goosebumps when I see it. It's
China's extremely restrictive on any type of protesting or anything. There is no First Amendment in China, my friends. Okay.
Jonathan in your chat saying you talk about Tiananmen Square, you go missing. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, so we talked about a couple things. So you don't think so? And I guess so. The real estate market is basically crashing there because people aren't paying portions. They're not paying their mortgages. So you foresee, okay, China does not have the capability to invade Taiwan right now, is what you're saying.
Imagine you're a country with
Mhm.
aging population.
Mhm.
China is running a 4-to-1 scheme right now.
Okay.
A 4-to-1 scheme means there's 2 adults in every family unit taking care of 1 kid and 4 elderlies. It's basically, imagine like China, you're a country right now, you basically put a pole stick up your ass by saying only one child. Okay, one child policy. Cool.
Yeah.
What happened when you did the one child policy? You created demographic crisis of epic proportions.
Yeah.
You have aging population, not enough workforce. Now we have the same problem in the US, but in the US, we can literally open the gate and there's plenty of people who want to come in and work in the US. There's no shortage of people who are interested to come in.
Yeah.
Who wants to live in China, bro? Who wants to immigrate into China? Let them open the gates, bro. Nobody's going over there. I mean, come on. So they don't have any immigration going on, so they can't fix that like the US fixes that with immigration. So massive demographic crisis. People are not, excuse my French, are not fucking making babies, right? So it doesn't seem like it's getting better.
Not enough women over there too. Too many dudes.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that, but that one child policy, if you had a daughter, like, we gotta kill this baby right here.
That's a horrible, that's the horrible reality of being Chinese, bro. But imagine like demographic crisis, check. Absolute political instability, check. President Xi is not doing so well, by the way, in China. He has a lot of problems internally. On top of that, real estate crisis, that the real estate market in China, you want to guess how much of it, or how much of the GDP in China is the real estate, like in its entirety? 30%. 30% of the Chinese economy is that empty freaking properties, bro.
Wow.
If this shit goes down, the entire economy goes down. There's absolutely no way they can let this collapse. So people in the streets protesting.
Going back to what you were saying before, so basically China, what they did was they artificially propped up their GDP by building all these real estate properties, right, to get their GDP up, look good on paper, but in reality it was a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's empty cities everywhere, no one lives in it, and now people are finally starting to get hip to it, and they're like, yo, we're not going to pay mortgages anymore. And you said this is going on in 90 cities?
Yep.
Bam, there's a summary right there.
According to S&P, I don't remember who did the estimates. I don't remember who did, but credible estimates are saying about $150 billion of mortgages not being paid right now in China.
Wow.
Yo, I just thought about it. What if you went to space and built apartments and said, hey, you want to buy one? You can sell it for higher.
Yeah.
Like,
that might have a better ROI than investing in China right now.
China, wow. Hey guys, real quick. You guys know I don't like to look at my phone, but I only look at it when it's YouTube. And I'm looking right now and I see that we only got 1.4K likes, guys. Guys, Tom, number one, we need to stop the show. You guys need to like this goddamn video. And then more importantly, you need to subscribe to Tom Nash, because he's giving you guys a whole bunch of fucking sauce right now that you're not going to get anywhere else. You guys are not going to get information like this in mainstream media. I didn't even know about this real estate issue until Tom brought it to my attention when we were texting earlier. And I was like, yo, bro, let's talk about this on air. And you're not going to get this shit anywhere else, man. So welcome to Fresh and Fit. Subscribe to Tom right fucking now. Like the goddamn video. And we need to push content creators like this up in the algorithm instead of these idiots over at CNN or, Yahoo Finance or whatever that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So like the video, guys. So we'll go back to, so we're talking about these ghost cities in China. Now, let's talk a little bit about, so we talked about Taiwan. So you foresee, with all the issues that you just outlined just now, that there's no way that China has the capability to invade Taiwan effectively.
But Tom, I have a question. If it's an island, right?
The Taiwan question?
No, this.
Oh, okay.
Relating to it. So if Taiwan's an island, right? I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm smart about it, I can either fly in and bomb them or surround them with ships. So I don't need that much manpower per se to take over Taiwan. Wouldn't that be like a viable option for them?
I'm not a military strategist, to be honest. My military expertise are basically in video games. But I'll tell you what, Fresh. Basically, the way this thing works is like, if you are having to worry about paying your rent and getting food, and you're starving and you're getting evicted, are you worried about picking a fight with the big neighbor with guns next door, or you're trying to take care of your shit first?
Yeah.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
I mean, you have a neighbor and he's like, I can probably take him, but he has guns, or I can pay my rent and make sure that I actually have a place to stay in, because like China is fighting through some existential shit right now. They're posing as if they're like trying to take over the world, but it's just an act. They have massive, like they're having trouble keeping the lights on. Remember, China is not even independent in energy. China doesn't have its own energy. It has unfriendly borders. Their geography is a total dog shit. All their fucking neighbors hate them. I mean, they have a lot of problems.
Yeah, Russia is like, I mean, Russia is like their best friend. You know, then most energy comes from Russia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
With friends like this, I don't need enemies, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, well, I mean, that puts things in perspective, man. Like, are they really going to invade Taiwan when they have all these problems at home? And China does a fantastic job, by the way, of suppressing any type of negative media about them. You know, in their own country, you know, hey, nothing's going on. We're here. We're totalitarian, etc. So, you know, not many people know these things. So, hey, that's I didn't even know, because I for sure thought, like, dude. Because when I saw Russia pull it off with Ukraine, right? But Russia's been prepared for the sanctions, right? Since 2014, when they I think they invaded Crimea, and they took over. Pretty much, the U.S. had sanctioned them back then with Obama, and you know, Putin was like, you know what? We're gonna buy gold. We're gonna, get the ruble up, etc. We're gonna be ready for the fucking sanctions. And then as soon as pussy ass Biden came in, bam, they invaded Ukraine. They got hit with the sanctions as expected. They got taken off SWIFT. They got taken off all this other shit. But the ruble's been going up. Even with all this stuff going on, the ruble's been going up. So I mean, do you first?
Yeah, when they like China 71 rubles per dollar, now it's 61.
Sorry, what was it? It went down.
75 rubles per dollar. Now it's 61 rubles per dollar. So the ruble is stronger, by the way, since they invaded.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's went up. So that's why I was in my head. I was like, you know what, dude? If Russia pulls off this invasion and the sanctions don't fuck it up too bad, that might give China the nuts to invade Taiwan, because they're in an identical situation almost. But I guess Russia has all
they're dog shit. Look, I just want to clarify something that's very important to me.
Please go ahead.
I have Chinese friends. I love Chinese culture. I love the Chinese people.
Yeah, this is not.
I think the Chinese. Yeah, this is nothing against Chinese people. I think the Chinese people are being held hostage by the Chinese Communist Party, which I don't think the average Chinese person gives a shit about Taiwan or the reserve currency. They just want to have a nice life.
That's
Go
true.
home, fuck their wife, eat dinner, do it again the next day, and don't care. They don't care about the shit. But it's exactly the same thing we have. Governments, totalitarian governments, hold people hostage, and that shit has to stop, bro.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So those are some compelling arguments for China not taking invading Taiwan. So okay. What was the next thing?
The chats or no?
Yeah, I can hit the chats real fast.
And Tom, let us know if you're good on time.
I'm good on time.
Okay. All right. I'll hit these super chats real fast. Okay. 20 bucks from Gabriel Escos. Big fan. I'm part of the Tom's crew. Learn stock options. Learned them well. They are the cheat code to the market. Real recession will come in 2023. So understand the macro environment and tread accordingly. Red pilled forever. All right.
All right.
Fresh. You
guys. It's Gabe, I think, right? Is Gabe?
Yeah, that's Gabriel S.
Gabriel S.
We got Tim.
My buddy Gabe. I read you his text before we started, by the way. That was
him. That's him.
Oh, shout out to you, my.
Well, Gabriel, he exposed you, bro. There you go. Tim says, where to go or the crypto again? Cultivate Crypto on YouTube, and then Dollar Cost Crypto as well on YouTube. CJ Dutton says 10 bucks. I'm a 23-year-old joining the Air Force for avionics in the next month. Is the Army forces going to be affected by the crash as well? How do I prepare myself while in the service? That's a good one. Tom, you want to answer that or no? He's 23, joining the Air Force for avionics in the next month.
I mean, the government is always very, very stable.
Look, my buddies who did military always came out with more money than they came in. You come in, they'll give you food, they give you clothing, they give you lodging. You don't spend nothing except tattoos, and that's it. You usually come out richer. I think the question is more like, what do you do with the money and how do you invest it?
Yeah.
I think that's the right. I think I have a financial education channel and I analyze the stock market. For 99.99% of people, if they want to be in the stock market, just put it in an index fund and don't do individual stocks. It's just too hard.
Berserker Mode says, is ETH going to drop below 900 again?
I don't know. It's up now. It's close to 2,000. It's like 1,800.
Yeah.
Okay, Zentians, didn't OPEC dismiss Biden's request for increased oil production while simultaneously importing Russian oil and redistributing that oil while renaming themselves OPEC Plus? Is that a push to move away from the petrodollar? That's a good question. What's your thoughts on that, Tom?
OPEC.
Okay, so it's a game. Okay, so first of all, OPEC doesn't have more capacity to give. That's the big secret. Everybody knows that. So OPEC is very close to max capacity as it is. And I'm not an expert in oil, but I have buddies who are experts in this industry. Churning out oil is not as easy as turning on a knob. It's not like a faucet in your house.
Yeah,
it's a very long process. It requires a lot of capex, a lot of manpower, and it takes a long time. And it's not just increasing capacity like that. After years of underinvestment because of COVID, because of low pricing, it's not that easy to increase demand. And everybody knows OPEC are very close to being maxed out. So when they said no to him, mostly it's because they honestly don't have any more. And plus, it's a nice opportunity to stick it to him after what he did to MBS, which is a whole different story. And whether I think, look, Saudis and the US have a symbiotic relationship. You have to understand the reason that Saudi and OPEC are on petrodollars is not because they like the US. The argument is like, oh, the US has been exposed. They know the US is evil. Now they will not want to be on the petrodollar. They never liked the US, and the US never liked them. It's a symbiotic relationship. The US needs the petrodollar. Saudi needs US protection as far as military. They need US investments, US know-how as far as production of oil, expertise, the entire set of infrastructure that the US provides internationally, politically, geopolitically, financially. This is a symbiotic relationship. There's no alternative for either country to exist without each other. So I don't think this flirtations are going on, but it's like trying to get a better deal, pretty much. You want to, you know, like you want your woman to look to see that our women are interested in you, so she knows that. So it's kind of that kind of game. It's like, we have other options. No, you don't, motherfucker.
Gotcha. Okay. DL saying, really want to know podcast, $100. Thank you so much, my friend. He goes, I was in China 2016. We went from Beijing to Shanghai on the bullet train. I saw tons of new buildings. All were empty, small towns with no people everywhere. Now I understand why. Great content. Keep leading from the front, gentlemen. Yeah, I had heard about these ghost cities from Miguel, but I did not know it was that bad. And I did not know
if you guys want to see, there's a content creator. His name is Serpenza. And he actually has videos of him touring inside these cities, showing you these apartments and stuff. Like, it's literally like Hollywood sets.
Wow.
Apocalypse.
Now we know the why. Okay. China is desperate right now. That's why they will invade Taiwan before the end of the year. I don't know about that. Last thoughts. I mean, from what Tom is saying here, he might have changed my mind as far as China being able to do it. I mean, if you got issues at home like that, where 90 cities aren't paying mortgages and the government isn't as strong as they claim, and you got propped up GDP. Are you really can you afford to go to, I mean, will going to war increase the GDP, you think, Tom, or help the economy in any way?
Also, don't forget, if China stirs shit up with Taiwan, what happens to global oil prices? They spike.
They do,
by definition, because every time you have a war, a conflict, China is a massive importer of oil. It's not going to be pretty for them.
Okay.
China has no oil of its own, so military conflict is not in their best interest in any capacity.
Okay.
Sentience?
And they've never actually been in a war. I don't know if you guys know, like, their modern military has not been in an actual war yet. So that's another thing as well that people don't know. Okay, we got $2. Ali, thank you so much. $20 from Zentience. Is Evergrande similar to BlackRock? BlackRock is borrowing consumer money to build high value real estate for only rentals, to echo what Klaus Schwab's sentiment of the poor will have nothing and they'll be happy about it.
I don't think they're similar. Evergrande is a real estate developer, the dedicated real estate developer in China. So what they did is they over leveraged themselves. They took a lot of debt to develop projects. They're classic contractor, but massive scale. And then when the projects went underwater, they couldn't repay the debt, and they basically collapsed into themselves. BlackRock is a massive global financial behemoth. I don't think they're similar.
So I'll ask you this, Tom, real quick, and then we'll get back into the chats. Can you tell us a little bit about Russia and China working together to try to destabilize the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency? You outlined fantastically earlier why China will never take over as the reserve currency, but is there a potential that if they partner up with Russia, which is maybe why they're doing this in the first place, that they'll be able to overtake the U.S. dollar's position as reserve currency?
I'll surprise you. I think neither of those countries has a chance.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of a country that might be a threat within the next, let's say, 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
And it's a country nobody's talking about. I think Russia and China are basically engaged in survival mode, masqueraded as some sort of a supremacy battle. I don't think that none of them are relevant in that aspect.
Okay.
And I think that the country that might actually pose a threat, and it's kind of a sleeper and nobody's thinking about, is India. If you think about it, India has a massive young population, English speaking, cheap production. It's stable. It's democratic. It has a rule of law. It has every single factor we talked about besides just the economy. They're just not rich enough. If India gets to the level where they actually is economically viably able to contend with the big boys, they're going to be very competitive. Great workers, absolutely massive population, no demographic issues. geographically speaking, no enemies. It's just a good geography. India might be the one if you're actually thinking about a contender against the US, but I don't think neither Russia or China. Look, Russia has the GDP of freaking Vermont.
What?
And it's no, I don't know, not
Oh,
really
I was about
Vermont.
to
Like
say.
it has like a rinky-dink GDP. I don't know. It's something ridiculously small. Because all Russia does really is just dig shit up from the ground and sell it. They don't have anything else. That's literally their economy, bro. They dig shit up. They get gas and
But
oil
they have a
and
lot of
whatever.
natural resources. They do, and people don't know that for
They have
some
a
reason.
shit ton of resources, so
Yeah.
they've never been incentivized to develop any sort of real economy because it's so easy to just let's dig this shit up from the ground, Ivan, and let's sell it to somebody else. Like make a lot of money. There's no need to educate ourselves on anything, right? So
He's Russian, by the way, guys. Just so y'all know, okay? Making fun of his
and
people.
yeah, I can make these jokes.
Go
And
ahead.
so with Russia, it's such a rinky-dink GDP. And by the way, according to all estimates, in 2022, Russia's GDP is going to shrink by 10%. Do you understand
Really?
the magnitude of what we're talking about?
That's
so
huge.
Russia is dealing with, as far as will the US be able to topple Putin? No, I don't think so.
Mhm.
But is Russia hurting? Yes. Does Putin care? No. Because look, I'll explain. So there's economic warfare going on between Russia and the US, right? And in this war, according to every metric you can think of, the US is winning, but it's winning on points, right? It's winning on points. The GDP in the US is not reducing as much as Russia. There's many different metrics. The US is winning on points in every single category. But it's like being in the boxing ring with a guy who would not go away. So the only way the US wins this battle is if they knock out the Russia. They cannot win on points because it's a totalitarian regime. His people can suffer. They can be absolutely starvation and total collapse. He's still going to be in power. It's not a democratic regime. He's not going to get booted out of office.
Oh yeah, he killed unless they agree with him.
Yeah, so basically, unless you're going to knock them out, you're not going to win by points. There's no points. It's like when you're in a gym and the entire gym is like judges who are like fucking rooting for the other guy. Unless you're going to knock them out, they're going to rob you. So it's exactly the same thing going on with Russia. But yes, so Putin is nowhere near to getting toppled, but Russia as an economy is really hurting from these sanctions. Make no mistakes about it.
Yeah.
And I think their main concern is more in the realm of China trying to survive this rather than take over anything. And so I'm not too concerned about Russia and China.
Okay, so even if they were to collude together, because from what I've been told, I've seen, some other YouTube channels.
There's the chess club, bro, in school that nobody cares about. They can collude in their little chess club all day. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
So even if they combine together, they're not going to make some magical.
By the way, I'm sorry. I play chess. Dad, I'm sorry. I love chess. I didn't mean that. Like, my father would kill me, bro. I just using this as an analogy.
No, it's all good, bro.
I love chess. You cannot be Russian and not love chess, by the way.
I would think the desperation would cause them to act, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I didn't realize that China was not as powerful as they said, because they make it sound like they're on it, man. Ping is on it.
Yeah, we need to red pill people about China, bro, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, everyone took. I guess we got to take the China pill. Okay, so I'll hit some of these chats real quick. All right, $8 from Cool Linto. Thank you so much. China only has one single aircraft carrier, no ships, not a plausible way to attack. Source Signet Homie. Okay, how does China fund projects in Africa if they are in so much debt? And that's from Stephanopoulos.
Excuse me?
He asked, how does China fund projects in Africa if they are so much in debt? And this is true. I have seen them in Africa. I've seen them also in the Bahamas. They're building roads and infrastructure and everything like that. How are they? He's saying, how do they?
Well, they're doing this for clout. They have an initiative called the Road and Belt Initiative, and the idea was let's do what the IMF has been doing for years. So the IMF has been basically doing this stunt where they'll come in, they'll lend you money if you don't have any to build stuff you need, and then they own you. You basically in their pocket for the IMF is like running the scam for years, and they basically we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to take over Africa, and we're going to have so much clout in Africa, it's going to be epic. We're going to we want a seat at the table. China is not fighting for dominance. China wants to be accepted as equals, bro. That's the whole point. And they're trying to get clout so they can have a seat at the table, but they're trying to posture as if they're trying to take over. So they're like, let's do it. But this whole thing is basically blowing up in their face because they're spending massive amounts of money, which they don't have, and this shit is basically not giving them any sort of honest, real results. You can look at what's going on in Pakistan, in all these other countries in Africa. Yes, they have clout over there, but on the global scale, that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's sad to say that, but okay, so they have more clout in Africa, sure. What does it matter as far as existentially not being able to feed your people and keep the lights on? It's a grandiose project that is absolutely asinine, and I absolutely, when I hear about it as, oh, China is taking over, sorry, bro, it's just not happening for them. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Hey, man, I'm learning a lot myself right now, man. Like, geopolitics is not my thing, but I'm very interested in it. So I always like to listen to people that know more about it than myself. Gareth Winter, China ships cannot loiter or blockade a country because they are fuel poor. U.S. has to blockade their oil shipments from the Middle East and blow up their Russian pipeline. They are done in 3 months. Okay. What if Saudi Arabia went back to the deal and stopped only accepting U.S. dollars for currency? Went back on the deal. And that's from D-Money 10. Do you think? I don't foresee that happening. I mean, we talk about their deal. They need each other.
Look, exactly. It's not about. Look, when I got out of law school, and I didn't know I don't want to be a lawyer at that point, so I was doing like my first year trying to figure out if I like this shit or not. And I had this deal where I was working with this partner in one of the offices I work for, and we were negotiating a deal. And basically, I drafted this deal, this contract, and I managed to send it to the intern of the other firm, and it came back with no comments. And I went all proud to the partner and said, "Hey, look, I slipped all of the shit by them. They didn't catch none of this bullshit. I basically put in to fuck them." And he's like, "You're an idiot." I said, "Why?" I said, "You just created an unsustainable contract. They can't last. I mean, this piece of paper is not going to fucking hold up if it doesn't make sense for both parties. Go back, call him, and fix the shit up, you idiot." And then, like, that's the whole concept of contracts. It's basically this piece of paper is meaningless. What's important is, does it make sense? Does it make sense for Saudi Arabia, OPEC, and the US to be in bed together? Totally. Is there a replacement for either party to find a different partner? There's absolutely none. So this whole chatter is basically empty noise. Not to mention the fact that every time this goes up, the Saudis deny it. So the Saudis, there was a report a few months ago, the Saudis met with China about changing to RMB for oil deals with China. And 2 days later, the Saudi says, no, that's fake news. We've never done that.
There you go.
It's not about liking the USA, bro. It's not personal. It's about interest.
Yeah. All right, Gareth Winter, Air Force guy, you are good. It's not affected by economy if they want to spend less in DOD. They reduce their recruiting. Just save your money. You get a cheap car, stay single, and go to school. Former Marine. Yeah. With the military, you're always going to come out with more money.
Stay single, my friend.
Yes, don't get married, bro. They're going to try to get you for the benefits. Don't do it. Kevin Smith, Russia will give them oil. Well, okay, I guess. So his thing is that Russia's going to give China oil. Okay, fair enough.
Yes, they will. They will, for sure. But, okay, what does it matter? Okay, they will give China still needs Russia. So, okay, so if you need Russia to survive, where does it put you? As far as, are you a global superpower? I contend that you cannot be a global superpower if you don't have energy independence. It's impossible. So if anything, if Russia decides to cut off the oil to China at some point, just because, what happens? China's fucked. If the US gets cut out, no problem. Not to mention the fact we have our own Ukraine up north, which is basically pretty much as much oil as we can have. I mean, Canada produces
Canada and Alaska. Yeah.
We have so much. Imagine, like, it's a whole different situation where you're dependent on a dealer. Like, it's you can't say I'm the man when you don't have energy, and China absolutely has no energy of their own, and that fact on its own is just enough to basically exclude them from the whole discussion of a global superpower.
Okay. What would you consider are the global superpowers at this point right now in 2022?
Which countries?
Yeah.
There's only one. And I'll also argue there were always only one. So people will argue with me. Tell me which other global superpowers we have by these standards. Think about it this way. We can make an argument that the USSR was a counter global superpower. And this argument will be partially correct because of the military strength and the political clout that the USSR held. But economically, the USSR had the fucking GDP and economy of a chicken coop. It's absolutely it's rinky dink, fucking even worse than they have now. So if you don't have the economic might, and if the entire world doesn't want to be like you, and basically you cannot help others, you are not a superpower. And my understanding is we haven't seen in our lifetime another global superpower except the US. And I don't know when is the next time we'll see one.
So your standards are, because most people consider a superpower basically having nukes. I mean, that's what
a lot of countries have nukes, bro.
Yeah,
Pakistan has nukes.
That's true. Pakistan does have nukes, surprisingly. But they'll
North Korea has nukes.
Yep, as well. They'll look at it like
can't afford his fucking electricity bill, and he has nukes.
What about the UK?
Yeah. Well, they don't have they can't sustain without they're not self-sustained from an energy standpoint, right? The UK?
Yeah, and also the economy is not that great. I mean, the UK is great. The UK
former
is
reserve currency. They were the former, but go ahead.
They used to, yeah. The UK used to be an empire back in the day, but like it's not our modern lifestyle, modern lifetime. I think in the early days of the 20th century, the whole British Empire was basically gone. The way we read about it, it was no longer there.
Okay.
This version of UK is a very, very good European country, solid, but and then definitely, I mean, one of the best countries in Europe. But are there superpower? I don't think so. It's just
for your definite, like, for superpower. So what do you think are the requirements of a superpower?
So you have to have the strongest military, the most developed financial systems.
Okay.
You have to have the economic structure that is envied. Everybody wants to be like you, your culture, your lifestyle. You have to have political influence and clout around the world. You have to be able to be kind of the world's policeman. All this stuff the US has been doing for years. Much less now under Biden, by the way, which is one of the mistakes of this administration, which is basically stopping policing the world. Every time the Democrats step in, they tend to go on this, oh, why should we police the world? Because this is how you maintain your status as the global superpower. It's important because nobody else is going to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos. But there's no other country in the world that can step in right now and replace the United States. And with the way the system is set up, I don't see anybody really contending that.
America. Yeah. All right.
America needs a little bit more patriotism, bro. I think there's such a fucking trend of these Gen Zs.
I mean, I say all
self-hate
in the world, and people talk shit. Oh, you're
by what metric? Motherfucker, move to China. I hate this. Like when you say America is a great country, by what metric? Move to China, my guy. No problem. Move to Uzbekistan. Move to Iceland. Move to wherever you want to live. No problem. Why does everybody wants to live in the US, bro? Okay, so Andrew Tate wants to live in Romania. I get it. It makes a valid argument. But unless you're Andrew Tate, you probably want to live in the US, bro.
Yeah, and he's doing it for other reasons, right? That most people can't really. He's doing it for, like, tax purposes, everything else.
Yeah.
Like most
if you have Andrew Tate money, sure, and you have his personality, Romania might be the best country for you. But I mean, for a normal person, I mean, there's no better place to live in.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, and that's why I make fun of people that come here or people that are born here and raised here.
And by the way, I love Iceland. I was just giving examples of other countries. I didn't say they're bad. I could have said France, Germany. Insult everybody. Let's insult every other country.
Speaking of, real quick, because I've heard about this, and you could tell me what you think about this. I was talking to this girl. She's from Spain, and she was telling me that she didn't want to go back to Spain because the power bills have like doubled or tripled in price. Yeah. Something like 300 euros or some shit like that for electricity, and it's happened ever since this Ukraine conflict. Yep. And I know Germany is experiencing some of this right now as well, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they get their gas or their power, or a lot of their natural resources come from Russia. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, what happened is Europe has
like the video. Sorry.
So yeah, no problem. What happened is that Europe has went full woke.
Yeah.
And they basically said, well, the environment is the most important concern we have. We have no geopolitical concerns ever. We'll never have. Everybody's going to be singing Kumbaya around the campfire, and we're all going to be best friends forever, ever, ever. The most European thing you can think of. Like, they're all fucking holding hands and like. So in that case, let's just find the most sustainable thing to do, which is let's just use natural gas and not pollute the environment. Let's all be friends together. And who has the natural gas in Europe? Russia. So Russia became the prime supplier, pretty much the almost exclusive supplier of natural gas to Europe. Not to mention they're already the main supplier of oil. Germany, you mentioned before, they basically destroyed their own energy industry. They've shut down their nuclear power stations, which absolutely do not pollute at all. They've dismantled their coal plants, and basically they went all in on this Russian gas and Russian oil.
Mhm.
So now, not to mention the fact that basically in every time you have a conflict in Europe, prices of energy go up because it's more volatile, right? But on
Yeah.
top of that, Russia is artificially causing a disruption in supply. We heard about that. They're basically not cutting off, but they're sending much less. And
Mhm.
basically, the reason that the electricity bill is spiking and the gasoline price is going up is because Russia is basically fucking with them. It's like
Mhm.
Russia is saying, "Look, we're gonna make the same money we did before the shit started because the prices have spiked so much, but we're
Yep.
gonna give you less, and you're gonna suffer, and we're gonna
Yep.
squeeze you until you do what we want." And the reason
Exactly.
they can is because Europe went woke and basically said, "Well, Russia, you have our balls. Here you go." And this
Yeah.
is the result.
And
That's
they
why
sanctioned
you
them.
stay energy independent as much as you can.
Yeah, and they sanctioned Russia, and it's backfiring on them. The U.S., like, we're not feeling it as badly, but Western Europe, man, they're getting it. And I've spoken to a couple of European chicks and people from Western Europe, and they're like, bro, it's fucking terrible. Gas and energy prices and electricity in itself it doubled and tripled since this situation's happened. So
Also, don't forget the fact that once Russia squeezes, somebody says Spain gets gas from Algeria, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's global pricing systems. Once Russia squeezes the demand of gas, of natural gas, there's less natural gas in the world. The prices of natural gas go up.
bam.
Russia can do that even if they're not the supplier. It's a global system. The pricing is universal, so it's not about who's supplying the gas. So also don't forget, Europe gets really cold in the winter. We haven't seen winter yet, and it's going to be a big question mark to see what happens in the winter, because Putin will have a lot of leverage back when they'll need to heat their houses and basically Putin will have a really interesting choice. So I think in the best interest of Europe is to somehow find the deal to get Putin to back off of Europe, off of Ukraine before the winter gets in, because wow, if Putin decides, he can literally he can freeze them and bad. It's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to talk about that energy thing, because a lot of the Western European countries are kind of suffering from these sanctions. Okay.
Luckily, in the U.S.,
go
people
ahead.
who've been advocating for like, oh, we need to get rid of the oil industry. No, motherfucker, you need it. Yes, the oil industry are assholes. Yes,
Mhm.
I agree with that. They're evil and they're greedy, sure, but you need them because you cannot live in this perfect illusion of what the world could be and should be. You have to be pragmatic about shit. You have to have risk management. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket, and that's why this whole "let's get rid of the oil industry" narrative is finally dying down. I'm pro Tesla. I'm pro environment, but you cannot kill that industry without having a viable alternative, which you don't have yet. There's less
Yeah.
than 2% of the world's energy coming from sustainable energy like that. There's 98% still like oil and the gas, natural gas and stuff like that. So it's like destroying that before you have a solution is kind of a moronic move.
Very, very stupid. Hey guys, quick little announcement. I need you guys to number one, like the video, and then number two, subscribe to Tom Nash. His links are all below, man. Check him out on his YouTube channel. I put his Patreon down there, and then also in the title, his channel is tagged, man. So make sure to subscribe to his channel. Take 2 seconds right now and subscribe to his channel, guys, so you guys can get base information like this when it comes to geopolitics and finances. Real quick, Tom, and I know you got to get going here in a second, but stock market. Hit us with the stock market. What should people do? I know you just alluded to it a little bit with the index funds and everything else like that, but can you give the people a quick
straight up with
overview
you?
on the
It
stock
goes
market?
against the nature of my channel. So I analyze on my channel stocks and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that's detrimental to my channel. So you don't need to watch my channel. If you're interested in investing in the stock market, get the S&P 500 or an equivalent ETF like that.
Yep.
That's very hard, nearly impossible to beat. I don't know if you guys know this, but 80% of, not including Nancy Pelosi.
I think it's like 90%. I know what you're going to say. It's like 90% actually. They can't beat the S&P 500 index.
The longer you go, the higher the number goes. So
Okay.
you're right. So
Yeah.
it's 80% after 5 years, 90% after 15 years,
Sorry,
95%
long
after 20 years.
Long term is the key.
So
My
the
bad.
longer term you go,
You're right.
the less and less, even on a 5 year or 6 year basis, professional fund managers 8 out of 10 of them lose to the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Simple. So if you think you can do better than professional money manager, unless you're Nancy Pelosi, you're probably not going to beat it. Just stick to the index funds, stick to the S&P 500, and put the money and forget about it. Active trading, picking stocks, it's a very dangerous game. And I think 99% of retail investors should not engage in that.
And the fact that hey, this is going to go against my channel, but I'm going to tell you anyway, that goes to show the integrity of your boy, Tom Nash here, guys. So that's why you got to go subscribe to his channel and check him out, because he talks about other things outside of the stock market, guys. I watch his channel. That's what that's where I got the reserve currency discussion from. I was like, yo, we got to talk about this. Well, because I know the audience.
You're the only channel outside of the financial niche that is even talking about these issues, which are massively important issues, but nobody's covering that because they don't respect their audience enough. Our audience will not look at how many people in the chat are interested in this shit.
No, they are. They love it. And guys, like the video and subscribe to this channel. But I will say this real quick. So for the people that do want to know, do you want to give the people a little bit about like what stocks you're looking at or what you're interested in and what you follow?
Well, look,
I have to say your portfolio, but whatever you want to share.
My portfolio, 40% of my portfolio is in the S&P 500, and everybody knows that follows my channel. I have individual stocks, but at this point, if the amount of uncertainty in this market right now is just so crazy, you'll never guess the way it's behaving like one of them crazy axes that show up to your house. It can be you're super happy and offer you a blowjob, or it can try to axe murder you the next day. It's just crazy. Exactly. At this point, I would just I kind of say, well, this is just, I don't know. Might go explode or might go. I'm the safest bet right now. Just stay in the index funds long term and just let it ride. I mean, there's some big boys with a lot of money. Don't forget, 80% of money in the stock market, 80 cents on the dollar, is institutional investors. People with more money than you, more resources than you, more information than you, way quicker than you, and you're trying to play against them. The shorter the game you're playing, day trading is the shortest, which is absolutely stupid. It's like trying to play a basketball game one-on-one against an NBA player, bro. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you day trade against fucking an institutional investor? Like it's just ridiculous. So the longer you go, the more you eliminate the advantage they have. So day trading, swing trading, long-term investing, long-term index investing, you're basically saying, well, long-term index investing, I'm absolutely insulated from whatever games they're playing in the short term. And trust me, they're playing a lot of games. And usually the victims are the 20%. The 20 cents on the dollar that are retail investors usually get screwed. That's the whole system. It's set up like that for you guys to lose. So in order for you not to lose, just stick with the market as a whole, as an ETF, S&P 500, and let them play these games and don't get suckered into this gambling mentality.
And Tom, just out to your point as well, they also have automations too. So automated bots trading for you. So like for you to be
algorithm, bro, there's algorithms.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow your mind right now. There's algorithm. What you said right now, there's algorithms. And the moment the fucking quarterlies hit the Edgar system, the filings, right? Yeah. Within 10 seconds, this algorithm has scanned it and seen exactly what the projections, and it's an AI. So it knows not just the gross profit, the operating margins, what's the projections for next year, what's the anticipation. Is it within 10 seconds, it's already traded. You didn't even open the PDF yet, and it's already inside the trade. So how are you trying to fucking get it into a fist fight with a cyborg? What's the point? It's stupid.
It's funny because I'm a part of one of those groups where like you have to be invited in to get into the automated system. And I put 10K in. I've already made 8K in like 3 months. It's crazy, bro.
Damn.
It's crazy. It's a machine doing it for you.
I'll say this, man. I mean that I didn't even know that. Like you breaking it down. I'm learning right now on the podcast. So 80% of the people that are in the stock market are basically institutionalized. So you're coming in as a small dog. You don't have nearly the same amount of resources, and you're trying to
play poker, Myron. You play poker?
I don't gamble at all.
Okay, if you play poker, imagine playing against somebody who has a massive chip advantage over you.
Mm-hmm.
He has 80-20. So he has 4 times more chips than you, and only 2 of you at the table.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat this guy unless something extraordinary happens.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to do something very, very, very stupid. You cannot. It's just the deck is stacked against you.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was
not only that, like they're
20.
friends with all the CEOs, they're friends with of course, there's no insider trading, there's no insider. I'm not saying there's no. They know shit, bro.
Yeah.
They know shit that you don't know
it's
way before you
annoying
do.
more than the other person. Like once you're informed to know like how it actually works behind the scenes, you can win all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's wild, and me honestly, I'm heavily into index funds, right? I'm not really. I got Chewy, for jokes, right? Which is the dog food shit, because I predict that there's going to be more single women, but I do that more for trolling, and for fun. But yeah, I mean individual stocks.
It's just not sexy, Myron. They'll tell you like, oh, the S&P 500 does like 8% a year. That's not sexy enough for me, motherfucker. 8% a year over 10 years, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
With very minimal risk profile compared to day trading stocks, which is pure gambling.
Absolutely, man. I'm a big fan of diversifying. I got cryptocurrency. I'm in the index funds. I got two funds. I got one that tracks the total stock market, and then I got one that tracks the S&P 500. On Vanguard, and then obviously most of my money is in real estate, but I'm obviously diversified because I think you got to have all asset classes. So and then cryptocurrency as well. So I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Crypto is a good question. We can do it maybe on the next show, because with crypto, it's very dicey. Depends with crypto as a group. I wouldn't generalize it, because like there's a big spectrum, and on the one hand you have Bitcoin, which I don't think is ever going away.
Yeah,
it's great. And then you have a lot of question marks. I don't know.
Yeah, I put Bitcoin and Ethereum in one, and then you got all
they're definitely there. Everything else is very speculative.
Yeah. I got Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's where my money goes.
Exactly. A sure bet is monkeypox. Invest in monkeypox.
What the fuck?
That's my sign. That's my sign.
All right. So okay, Tom. Okay, I'll read these chats real quick, and then we'll close it out. So that means we are in Saudi treating U.S. like Maine and China the side, pretty much. This podcast is gold from Emil Johansson. Yes, this podcast is gold, guys. Subscribe to Tom Nash on YouTube right now. Subscribe to his channel. Click the links below. Check him out on Patreon. Check him out on YouTube.
Man, I learned so much in this podcast, bro.
Yeah, I'm learning myself.
Yeah.
Russian oil, so for rich. You need a high-tech refineries to produce quality petrol and diesel. Does China have them? I don't know. Tom,
China,
do you know the answer to that one?
No, the problem isn't the refineries. They don't have their own. You have to be blessed by God to have it. Some countries have it. Some countries don't have it. The U.S. is the most blessed of them all, because it has it in the ground, in the ocean, and at the friendly neighbors on both sides of the fence. Imagine friendly neighbors up top, friendly neighbors on the bottom, both giving you shit ton of oil in the ocean and oil in the ground. No enemies, and basically oceans on both sides. Can you imagine a better geography to put a massive superpower on?
One thing I learned from this podcast from you, Tom, that I didn't really think about is geography is very important to your status as a country. Key. Your geography is actually very critical. Having friendlies around you, which you think about it. Yeah, China is surrounded by people that hate them. You know
how much money you invest if you're trying to constantly actively defend your borders. How much more money can go to infrastructure, R&D, education, all that stuff you need to develop, and GDP?
Yeah. Wow.
You know that anime Maggie? You ever heard about it, Tom? Maggie?
No, I don't think I have.
What is that?
So there's a character in there called Sinbad, and his nation is called Sindria. But he's made allies with every country around him, so that like if anything happened, he had help from everywhere. So like that power, having allies is very important.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was something that I didn't think about as far as like a country's ability to have powers, having friendly neighbors and good geography. All right, Dirty Nicker. Ray Dalio measures reserve currency power for chain world orders. China RMB is on the rise, like previous powers of British, Dutch, etc. Thoughts? No, it's not. We talked about why.
He's trying to sell a book, guys. He's trying to sell a book. All respect to Ray Dalio, but I mean, he's promoting a book, and there's a theory, and his theory is just as good as mine. He has more money to promote his book, but do the research. It's 2022. You can go online. All this information is public. Decide for yourself who's right.
Tom, we need your book, bro.
Nigerian flex, $10. Thank you, Alexander the Woke. What about CBDC in 2025? What does that say? Mo, move the
CBDC.
Yeah, CBDC in 2025. Food shortages adapt 2030, and new Atlas has good info and based on WEF plans. Also, Belt and Road Initiative. Oh, Belt and Road.
I don't understand. Sorry, I don't understand the question. My apologies. Yeah, I honestly don't understand.
I'm confused by it too, man. Don't worry about it.
I appreciate the super chat, but I honestly don't understand it.
Yeah, it's confusing to me as well. U.S. only superpower in conventional warfare with nukes. No one wins. U.S. is the only country who is not fuel poor. Okay.
But did you notice I haven't mentioned nukes not once when I was talking about superpower?
You did not.
Yeah.
You did not. And I think a lot of people, myself included, may be ignorant for thinking that way, but it's like, oh, you don't got nukes, so you ain't a world power. But then again, you made a good point. North Korea has nukes.
You can't use nukes. Nobody will ever use them. That's called the balance of terror.
Yes.
If one uses, everybody dies.
Assured destruction. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Mutual assured destruction. You know the terms better than me.
Mr. House, no man, I'm learning from you, bro. Like I said, geopolitics is something I'm very interested in, but I'm like still learning it, trying to grasp it more. War with Taiwan isn't about Chinese sovereignty. It's about distracting the Chinese people from overthrowing the communist government. As their economy and demographics collapse, the likeliness of conflict rises. Okay. $5 from Rusty Shackelford. It's funny how people who criticize America the most benefited the most from the economic system of the U.S. Respectfully, if you don't like it, leave. Fair enough.
There you go.
Zentians, the lack of patriotism in the U.S. is due to the hedonistic, selfish, and self-destructive ideology replacing the nuclear family, sense of duty to your country and family, honor and sacrifice to something more than vain trends. Yeah. I mean, it's because we have the First Amendment. We protect people's ability to talk shit about the United States, which is why they do it. Brandon, and
there's an old joke by Ronald Reagan, who was the best joker ever. He was like, he's like a man in an American and a Russian meet in 1985, and the American says, our country is better because I can step into the White House, bang on the desk, and say, Mr. Reagan, you're doing a horrible job as a president. And the Russian says, well, I can do the same thing. I can step into the Kremlin, bang on the desk, and say, Mr. President, Mr. Reagan is doing a horrible job as a president.
Oh man, I'll lie sub just because of that Nancy Pelosi joke. Thank you so much, bro.
There you go.
You better sub to us and sub to Tom. And then we got $50 from RZP. Razor Power. Off topic. Today we remember the Fly King. He took an airplane, flew around a bit, did a barrel roll, and then nosedived into the ground. He was going through a nasty divorce. 29 years old. This is why more men need the red pill. Keep it to go work, guys. We got you, man. Michael Meestroke, $10. Thank you so much. And then $20, Alessio Pavone. Last one. Great conversation. Keep it going. Find me on Instagram. We're definitely going to have Tom back on the show, guys. So don't worry.
I'd love to come back. This has been a blast. Plus, we spoke for like 20 minutes off air, which they don't know, which was also pretty fun.
Yes.
We need a Patreon like behind the scenes of us just talking shit.
Michael Meestroke, Balance of Terror, Tom Nash. That's absolutely my friends. So Tom, that was a great show, man. I know we're tight for time. I feel bad that we held you a little bit longer than we were supposed to.
No, it's been a blast. I don't stay where I don't want to be, bro.
Okay, all right, cool. I felt bad. Can you tell the people where they can find you, man, and any new projects you got going on? Like the video, guys.
So you can find me on all social media at I am Tom Nash. It's basically Instagram and Twitter. Mostly on Twitter. IG I don't check. Myron can attest to that. I check it every few months. But on Twitter, I'm very active. I am Tom Nash. You can find me on my channel, Tom Nash. You can find me on a channel called Money Talks, where I do a bi-weekly show, which is kind of like the ESPN debate show with Skip Bayless and what's his face, Stephen A. Smith. We have just about stocks, first take, but for stocks, it's called Money Talks. And you can find me on my podcast channel, Tom Nash Podcast, and that's pretty much it.
Bam.
All right.
Links are below, guys. Check him out, man. Go subscribe to this channel, man. Like the video, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That was a great conversation, base conversation. I learned a bunch myself.
Man, I stayed quiet because I was listening.
Yeah,
intently.
dude. That was awesome, man. So, Tom, it was awesome to have you. And guys, we're gonna have an after-hour show. I think we're gonna start a little bit earlier tonight. We're gonna probably have it around 8:30 or 9.
Yeah, 9.
Okay, guys. And
Is this the show with all the things with all the girls
chicks,
and
bro.
stuff?
You need to come out here.
Yeah, dude.
No. I'll tell you a story. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
When I'm hungry, I tend to stay away from the pizza parlor. As a married man, it's not a good idea for me to hang out at places like this.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's fair.
You want to stay away from the temptations.
We respect it, man. We respect it. Discipline in the guy. He's Tom Nash, guys. Check him out.
I believe in one penis, one pussy per relationship. That's just how I was raised, bro.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I respect it. I mean, that's not what we do. We womanize over here, but hey, we respect it.
It's probably safer in these times, but yeah. Keeping it up.
You don't get the HIV.
Yeah.
With these dirty girls out here, man. But guys, here's Tom Nash. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Like the goddamn video. We'll catch you guys back here in about an hour and a half at the most. Love you guys. Peace.